Hello YouTube, StartUpSurvival back with another knife review. This time it's the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Black blade, black handle, black everything. Great knife, one of my favorite knives, and one that I struggle to take out of my pocket in order to, bring other knives into the rotation. I have too many knives, probably not as many as some, but more than the average person for sure. And every time I buy a knife, I always ask myself, what could I get from Spyderco for the same price? And this knife is a $120 knife in most places. When I bought it, I actually wanted the Digicam handle with the black blade, but the store was out. So I got stuck with the black on black, and I love it. It's very beautiful, it's very simple. And I find using it in public or semi-public places, that black blade doesn't get noticed as much as the flashy blade. I don't know, maybe it's just an optical thing. You don't see that flash and you don't realize it's metal or something, but I kind of like that like subdued feature to it. So let's just talk about the knife and like what I like about it. Basically I like everything about it, but let's try to quantify that a little bit. So the blade shape is FFG with that black coating, which is held out very well. It's got a very delicate tip on it, which is good for piercing and that sort of thing. It's made in the USA, S30V, so it's a good steel. I'm not really enamored with S30V over something like VG10 or even AUS8 really for that matter. I guess I really don't care that much about blade steels. I enjoy sharpening. I don't anticipate being away from my sharpener long enough for it to really make a difference. But the fact of the matter is, when you want the cool knives, like the really nice ones, they tend to come in S30V, so I'll take it. But to me, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, honestly. So that pretty much sums up the blade. The handle is really where this knife shines, in my opinion. The blade is cool, don't get me wrong, but the handle is like my favorite part. It's got the G10 scales on it with the stainless steel liners partially milled out. And you really have to hold it in hand to appreciate. But it just fills the hand really nicely. I think anyone pretty much could put their hand in there and feel sort of like that knife was made for them. You've got two positions. You can sort of choke back on it a little bit there, and you can use the jimping, which is really excellent. Or you can choke forward and sort of do more precise cutting chores with it. But yeah, the handle just feels great. It's grippy. It feels like it was made for my hand, and I think you'll feel the same way if you pick it up and give it a try. So what else? The pocket clip is that sort of standard Spyderco pocket clip, and it has worn a little bit around the edge there, and that's really no big deal in my opinion. I still think it looks cool, and if you really wanted to, you could probably take it off and paint it or something if it really bothered you, but it doesn't bother me. The locking mechanism is the compression lock. And this is kind of cool. This is another place where this knife shines in some people's opinions. What is cool about it, for me anyways, it's sort of like a reverse liner lock. So normally the liner lock will be down here. You'll push it and then you'll go to close the blade. But what's cool about the compression lock is, since it's on the back, you can activate the lock and your finger doesn't need to be down here. So you stand less of a chance of cutting yourself when you're closing the blade. So you push down that compression lock, you can actually just let the blade swing. Just push it down, let it swing closed, no fingers in the way of the blade. I don't really know if that's true, like how great it is safety-wise or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, I've never cut myself with this knife. And I can't say that for all the knives I have. So it's pretty cool that way, and you can actually flick the blade out using that. You can kind of push it down and then flick it open. I'm not going to try to do it on camera, that never seems to go well. But the knife does open very well. I'll show you from here. It's very easy to operate one-handed, very fast. Okay, so I'm glad that this came up actually. Okay, so when I flick this knife open and I do it with any kind of a force, I find that my lock gets kind of stuck, and it takes a couple of pushes to get it to close. It doesn't happen every time. Sometimes it's pretty good, but yeah, if you flick it open with a lot, like this time, yeah, it gets stuck, and I don't really know why that is. I'm not sure if it's because of the coating on there or what, but it's not really enough of a factor to really piss me off. I haven't sent the knife back to Spyderco because otherwise it functions fine, and that's really kind of a minor issue. I don't know if it'll wear in with time, but I've had it for almost a year now, so I doubt it. So last thing I'll try to cover is this knife really worth the extra cost over something like an Endura or a Tenacious, which I don't have here because I actually gave that away. I don't know. You know, it's tough to say. I really think it depends on where you are as a collector and just what kind of a person you are. Like, if all you want is a good knife that you can beat the crap out of and it's not going to cost you a lot of money, there's fewer knives that can surpass the value of the Tenacious line, or actually the bird knives, really. I'm a huge fan of the bird knives, actually. One in particular, and I don't know if I've got it here, but if I do, I'll show it to you. Yeah, I got it. So the Bird Car 2, I really like that knife as well. And this is what I'm talking about with the blade steels. I mean, you sort of see like the scale of quality: 8 CR13 MOV, VG10, S30V. But for me, and this might sound silly, like all of these knives kind of offer the same functionality. I like to sharpen. I'm never that far away from my sharpener. I think they're all good quality. You know, you got China, Japan, US, you know, it doesn't matter to me. But isn't it strange that you could buy perhaps 6 of these knives for one of those, or 2 of these for one of those? So, you know, when you add up all the like sort of permutations, you could buy you know, 3 or 4 of this combination of knife for one of those. And you know, there's a cool factor to it, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think the Paramilitary 2 is really cool. I like I really wish I had gotten that camouflage handle material. I'm not going to be one of these crazy people on YouTube that buys like 5 copies of the same knife or whatever, and then a year later you're trying to sell them. Yeah, it's a cool knife. You know, these 2 knives are cool. This knife, not so much. You know, so let's take that out of the equation. I'll throw in the Sage 1 there, so you can sort of see how it stacks up against that. And the Sage 1's an interesting comparison because the blade material is the same S30V, but the country of manufacture is Taiwan on this knife. So this whole US manufacturing thing, like, I'm Canadian, like, I really don't get it. You know, like, I would like to keep jobs in my country too, but the fact of the matter is we have a global economy, and I'm not going to pay twice as much for something so that it's made down the street when I can buy an imported something or other that's really good value and really good quality. So, country of manufacture, I don't really buy that argument. You know, that's a sort of ideological thing that may or may not apply to a lot of people. So I'll throw in the Manix 2 as well, so you can kind of have a look at that. S30V as well. This knife is a lot heavier. That's one of the great things about the Paramilitary 2, is the weight is like very reasonable. I believe it's around 4 ounces, maybe just a little bit under. But that's really outstanding for sort of a knife that can flex into the tactical role and give you that sort of blade length, and a G10 handle as well with steel liners. So there's very few things, like of all the things I've showed you, nothing really beats the Paramilitary 2 in my opinion. Everything I compare it to, I like those other knives for sure. That's a Delica in there now, and I'll throw in a Skyline as well just down here so you can check it out. You know, I like all the knives I'm showing you, but the Paramilitary 2 is unsurpassed on the likability scale. Quality, ergonomics, value for the price. You can pay a hell of a lot more than $120 for a knife, as you'll find out very quickly if you just kind of cruise around YouTube. Like Emerson knives, they don't even start for less than $100. Benchmades, like a Benchmade with like an FRN handle, like the Mini Griptilian, which is basically, you know, equivalent to a Delica in many respects. This knife costs $50–$60. The mini grip costs like $80–$90. The full size Griptilian, which would be closer, I guess, in size to this, is like $100+. So basically, like Benchmade, I've never owned a Benchmade actually, because I just think that they're kind of overpriced. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of knives out there that are more expensive than the Paramilitary 2. And if you want to spend around $100 on a knife, I can't think of a better one to do it. That's it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.